You've spent years studying grammar and memorizing words, but you still can't speak a new language fluently. The problem is that traditional methods like memorization and grammar drills don't work as well as you might think. Learning a language doesn't happen just by following these usual methods. Our brains naturally understand and use language without focusing on rules or vocabulary. For example, when chatting with friends or sharing stories, you don't think about grammar or vocabulary. You simply use the language instinctively. Even if you are a linguistics expert, you don't think about vocabulary and grammar while speaking. Trying to manage every detail while speaking can be just as unhelpful as a runner who worries about how to move their legs instead of just running. The outcome will be awkward and ineffective. To effectively learn a new language, you need to grasp a key idea. You only truly learn a language when you understand what is being said. This idea is called comprehensible input. Your brain learns a new language best when it can make sense of the information. For example, first, think about listening to random phrases that don't make sense. Hearing them over and over is like background noise. It doesn't help much because you don't understand their meaning. Now, consider hearing clear and simple sentences like, "This is a ball," "The ball is red," "The ball is bouncing," "The ball is on the ground," "The ball is round." This clear input helps your brain connect new sounds with familiar ideas, much like how you learned your first language. The silent period. Professor Stephen Krashen, a prominent linguist, introduced the idea of the silent period in his theory of language learning. He argues that trying to speak a new language too soon can be counterproductive. Instead, Krashen recommends focusing on listening for the first 5-6 months. During this silent period, your brain takes in understandable language input. By listening to language that you can make sense of, your brain starts to connect new words and phrases with things you already know. This helps build a strong foundation, making it easier to start speaking correctly and fluently later on. To immerse yourself in a new language without traveling abroad, you can create a language-rich environment at home. Here's how to do it. Watch cartoons. Begin by watching simple cartoons for 1-3 hours a day. Cartoons are great for beginners because they use basic vocabulary and have clear visuals that help with understanding the language. Avoid complex content. At first, stay away from movies and TV shows as they can be too complicated and overwhelming. Stick to content that matches your current level of understanding. Follow the I+1 rule. According to Professor Krashen's I+1 rule, choose content that is just a bit more challenging than your current level, I+1, rather than content that is too advanced, I+3. This approach helps you learn progressively without frustration. Progress gradually. Start with cartoons, then advance to educational programs aimed at children and teenagers. As you become more proficient, gradually move on to more complex content like adult lectures and discussions. How to study grammar. You don't need to study grammar rules directly. Even if you don't know the technical terms, you will use grammar correctly as you become more familiar with the language. It is also important to manage the effective filter, which refers to how stress or anxiety can hinder learning. Ensure that your language learning process is enjoyable and stress-free to improve your progress. Subtitles. Avoid using English subtitles with foreign videos because they encourage you to translate rather than learn a new language. Foreign subtitles are somewhat better but still not ideal. The best approach is to understand the content without relying on any text prompts. Cartoons are especially effective for this. Teachers or tutors. After 6 months of focusing on listening and understanding, you can start practicing speaking. Having a conversational partner can be useful, but it's not necessary for everyone. The important thing is to start speaking after you have built a solid foundation through listening and comprehension. How to remember everything. Active learning. Try to remember information on your own without looking at the answer. This helps your brain learn better. Just listening to information without doing anything is less effective. Spaced repetition. Review what you've learned regularly, but with longer breaks between each review. This helps your brain remember things for a longer time. Flashcards. Use flashcards to help with active learning and spaced repetition. Try to recall the information on the flashcards from memory. This method helps you remember better. There are many apps that can help with this, like the MEM Self-Education app. Spend the first 5-6 months focusing on listening. Don't use subtitles. Follow the I+1 rule. Make the learning process stress-free. Recall information without seeing the answer. Regularly, review information with increasing intervals between sessions. Use flashcards and relevant apps. Thank you for watching. Evolve your life. See you in the next video.